The road show is back as we welcome you to Sun Devil Extra. Braiden Bell joined alongside ASU AD Graham Rossini, and if you can't tell the background, just automatically, I don't know what to tell you. We're here at Phoenix Municipal Stadium, ASU baseball ready to get going, and Graham, I smiled when I walked into the ballpark today. There's just no better place to be.
There really isn't. It's a great time of year for the Valley. We got spring training underway. We got Sun Devil softball already going. Baseball's on deck, so best time of year to be a Sun Devil.
Rocking the cool shades. I like the look of today's show, and we have a fun show ahead, of course. As Graham mentioned, it is crossover season officially, so the winter sports still going on. Spring sports either underway already or getting underway this weekend, and we'll start by talking Arizona State baseball. Getting going this weekend against Omaha, a 3-game set against the Omaha Mavericks, and the start of what should be a really exciting season for this squad. A bunch of new faces, whether it be from the portal or the freshman class, and it seems like the optimism around this group by both the coaching staff and the roster in general, there are high hopes about the squad.
Yeah, there's universal optimism. Everybody you talk to about Sun Devil baseball, within the program, industry experts, people around the sport are just very excited to watch this team compete. And there's a lot of hype around the great job the coaches did in the transfer portal. There's also the reality of this Arizona high school pipeline is now alive and well. I think we have 10 Arizona-born players on the roster in one way or another. And so when you get it from both angles, you get the pipeline of high school talent, guys like Cooper Klauser, State Player of the Year, staying home and able to contribute with the Sun Devils, and then this veteran savvy baseball talent that's now joined the program. And it's a really unique time for college baseball. I think there's more seniors in the sport than ever before. The average age is 21.8, and this roster represents that, like really young upside talent, but veteran, experienced guys that know what it's going to be like to go perform in the tournament setting. And the fact that we had that experience last year, there's no replacement for Coach Bloomquist and this group getting back in the tournament and understanding the dynamic of how you manage a roster in those settings. And so we're ready. This program's ready for takeoff, and we can't wait to get going this weekend.
We're going to hear from head coach Willie Bloomquist as well as team captain Nu'u Contrades, a fourth-year Sun Devil, later on in the show. They'll talk a lot more about this roster and what fans can expect. But in terms of the overall experience fans can expect, we saw attendance records shattered last year. I know there's a new sound system, a couple of exciting things here at Muni, and that will continue to move forward as well into this year and beyond. But what are some of those things fans should expect out here besides great weather and a good team to hopefully be watching?
Yeah, we're here a few days before the opener, and it's that kind of final rush that's always fun to see in a ballpark coming together before Friday night when the gates open. And really excited the new sound system is in place. We did the new LED lights last year, added to that with the sound system over the offseason. That's going to make a huge difference just in terms of the atmosphere, the energy, the organ music, the current music that the guys like to listen to, and really just continue to elevate the fan experience. Really a fun marketing and promotional schedule this year too. Our marketing team did a great job looking at minor league baseball, major league baseball, the Savannah Bananas, other college baseball programs, and really taking influences of all that. And the beauty of baseball this time of year for me is just it's outdoors. It's a family dynamic. It's come with your buddies, come with your business clients. There's really something for everybody at a ballpark this time of year, and we've really tried to design the season with that in mind. So a lot of surprises as we get into the year. Most excited about the team that we're going to have on the field here, and just the ticket momentum. You mentioned that last year. We set a program record for average attendance. We had a single game record. When U of A came to town, we're already a couple hundred tickets over last year's total, and so we know that season ticket base continues to grow in baseball the way that we've seen it in all these other sports, and that just adds to this incredible atmosphere that you're going to enjoy on a game night here at Phoenix Muni. So a lot of reasons to come to the ballpark. Most importantly, we're building this fan experience that's really important to us consistently, and we've got a meaningful product on the field. And you pair those two things together, and it's a powerful combination.
You summed it up last year. I'm going to butcher the exact quote, but it was something about how it's like a spring training game, but you got the intensity of a playoff game.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
I think that's a perfect synopsis of what you can get at the ballpark.
Well, and look, we're realistic about the environment's different in college baseball today. That doesn't change the fact that this is one of the nation's top programs historically. And when you can marry those two things together, I'm willing to put it on record that this is the most meaningful baseball in the state of Arizona. When you look at the lineage of Sun Devil baseball, what this program's meant for the community before Major League Baseball came on the scene, the players that have gone through it, the people that have been able to enjoy these moments growing up in the Valley and coming out to Packard and now Muni. It's an important institution for the Valley. It's certainly important in the storied history of Sun Devil athletics, one of our most top performing programs historically, and so we want to continue to build a higher standard and go in that direction. And so great game day, meaningful baseball. It's a wonderful combination.
You mentioned those promotions. I was just scanning through the schedule on the website the other day. I'm seeing some jersey giveaways, like big-time giveaways for sure. So keep an eye on that throughout the rest of the spring. And like we said, it gets going this weekend against Omaha in what is a very exciting non-conference schedule for the Sun Devils. Graham, you got one more thing.
We got a lot of new news. I don't know, you maybe had this on the script. I hijack you. That's kind of per usual.
It's your show. I'm just simply a vessel.
Our live streaming has been elevated. Now all of our baseball games are a very high-quality live streaming experience. We've gotten that feedback, so it's really important with the replays, the center field angles, et cetera. And so really polishing the live stream. We're lucky that we've got great broadcast personalities. Valley institutions in the baseball
hijack me all
game.
You want. Come on now.
That'll be on the broadcast. We'll get to mix in some alums that are really having some success in the broadcast space as well. So that's always fun to bring in familiar baseball voices. Look for Jody Jackson. Look for Devin Marrero. Look for Jeff Larish might pop on a broadcast at some point. The list goes on. And then the fact that ESPN has also selected more ASU games than any other Big 12 school for ESPN broadcasts as they get into that spring training, late March window where they're really promoting college baseball. So the nation's taking storm of what's happening here in Tempe, and can't wait to get it underway once again.
Going to be a lot of fun, and no doubt about it, there's tangible momentum, it seems, around this program after last year. So we'll move in now to Sun Devil softball, which you alluded to at the start of the show. We did not have a show last week, so we didn't get to fully preview Sun Devil softball, but we still can talk about the great start to their season. A 4-1 start. That lone loss came to Oklahoma, of course, one of the blue bloods of the sport, and it was down to the very, very end against the Sooners, a game that really could have gone either way. But they'll have a very busy weekend ahead. 6 games at the Littlewood Classic right over at Farrington, so they'll be playing all weekend long, as is known early on in non-conference season. And if you're going to talk Sun Devil softball, Graham, you got to mention Kinsey Brown.
Wow.
And what a start. Already a Big 12 Pitcher of the Week award. 26 Ks and 13 1/3 innings pitched. She had 13 against Oklahoma, which is a feat that almost never happens against that program.
Yeah, and that was a fun game to watch. Full disclosure, I was at our Big 12 AD meetings, and I had ESPN Plus on my iPad as we're listening. So apologies, Commissioner Yormark. I was multitasking, watching us compete, and really, for the first 6 innings, had control of that game. And leadoff walks will kill you. Home runs happen in the game, but Kenzie really leveling up in that matchup, and then really I think that's the tip of the iceberg in terms of what her season could go out to be, and a really important matchup for her against a top 3 opponent like Oklahoma, and really going toe-to-toe in the way that she did. Oklahoma's head coach has a big voice in Team USA, so that's a really good showcase opportunity for her with the Olympics right around the corner. But this is about the program, obviously, and what a great weekend. To be a pitch or 2 away from taking down number 3 Oklahoma, taking care of business the rest of the weekend with incredible pitching, incredible defense. The bats did what they needed to do at crucial times, and breaking into the polls after week 1. Really exciting to see Sun Devil softball back in that top 25 where it belongs. And again, the goal is to incrementally grow week by week. These early tournaments are so valuable because you get to mix and match with your lineup and really see what sticks, and let Coach Bartlett and the coaches really understand the impact part of the lineup and really how to design that as we get closer to the Big 12, which will be a ton of fun as well. So really proud of their start, and we'll share some B-roll on the show as well. And Kenzie, I think, is very resemblant of the modern student athlete, and was out at the Phoenix Open with us last week on Tuesday with Coach Bartlett, and was part of the putting challenge to benefit Special Olympics. So then 2 days later, she's towing the rubber with 13 Ks against Oklahoma. And so it's a credit to Kenzie and how she manages her process, organizes her day, and is doing some NIL with Santan Ford, Tim Hovick, an unbelievable partner of our program. And so Tim had Kenzie out representing Santan in the Special Olympics putting challenge, and then 2 days later, she's locking it in to compete for the Sun Devils. So really proud of her, really proud of her maturation. She's an elite talent in the sport. We're so happy that she's one of our own, and she's going to be a tremendous leader for this program this year. Yeah,
Sun Devil student-athlete experience is different than a lot of other places, too. Where else can you go out to the Phoenix Open and then pitch against a top 5 opponent a couple of days later?
Sure.
Pretty impressive stuff. But, yeah, Graham alluded to it, 22nd now in the country. Great to see the Devils back in the poll. Run rule victory against Northwestern, a program receiving votes, and they'll take on Indiana this weekend, another team that is receiving votes. So some good challenges early on in non-conference, and like we said, they play 6 times this weekend at the Littlewood Classic. They will be playing, there will be softball all weekend long there.
Yeah, and remember, Northwestern was a program that kept us out of Oklahoma City a few years ago. And so that was nice to be able to put put a little whooping on them as they return to Farrington. And, Texas State's great opponent, Memphis, played really well. And I think that's where you saw the home field advantage come into play that final game against Memphis, where, their pitcher had really performed well, gets into that 6th, 7th inning. Her pitch count's high. She's been out in the sun. And our players are used to the elements here and really mounting that comeback, walk-off win to cap off an incredible weekend in the Kajikawa Classic. And then you turn your heads to the Littlewood Classic this weekend. And another chance to really come together as a team weekend by weekend, make those incremental gains. And we know that the Big 12 schedule is looming, and that's going to be a tremendous challenge, but really a cool opportunity for us. And so, a lot of fun this weekend with softball continuing at home, baseball getting underway, and a lot of great activity around the department right now.
Diamond sports are here. Now let's transition back to the sports that are kind of on the home stretch of the regular season, that, of course, being both basketball programs. Starting with the women, they'll be taking on Utah at home tonight as we record this on Wednesday, but then a rivalry matchup in Tucson on Saturday afternoon. The Devils right now 19-6, 6-6 in Big 12 play. And last week, couple of games, they went 1-1, but I think it's a perfect synopsis of just the leaps this program has taken. Oklahoma State in Tempe, the Devils got that win against a program that's really good and up and coming in the Cowgirls. And then the team currently in first place in the conference, Baylor, top 10 in the country, went down to the final possession. So the Devils are right there. Obviously never want to lose, but again, a really strong showing.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be excited about with how they performed last week. And Oklahoma State winning at home was crucial. That was a really good program to get the win on the home court, continuing that really important ability to win your home games. I think other than one, we've been excellent at home all year long. And then Baylor, I looked at the Baylor game in a couple of different lenses. Most importantly, played TCU on the road early in the season, another ranked opponent, and TCU created some distance. We weren't maybe at the time in the season ready for that matchup. And you compare and contrast the TCU game to what happened in Baylor, where they took them down the wire, and it was really a game of inches at the very end. Wanted the win on the road. That would have been a tremendous win against a ranked opponent in their gym. But proud of the effort and really proud of the progression within the season on what's happened within the Big 12 schedule, where the TCU game and the Baylor game, and you just see that incredible progression that's happening. It's a credit to the coaches. It's a credit to the team for coming together, understanding their roles. The coaches trying a few little unconventional roster moves at the latter part of the schedule. But I think that game really, really bodes well for the stretch run as we're trying to get into a top seed in the Big 12 tournament in Kansas City, positioning to get in the NCAA tournament in Coach Miller's first year. And so wanted to win badly. Obviously, the program did as well. But you can't help but be proud about the excitement of how they played. That was a nationally televised game on FS1. So people are tuning in, people are watching, and you look at how that's translated in. Our attendance in women's basketball is up 86% year over year.
Wow.
Student attendance is up about 40% year over year. And so these are all incredibly important and powerful trend lines that people are plugging in, people are investing in the program, people want to see what's happening, and that energy is magic in what we're building with Coach Miller and her staff.
It's a bunched up Big 12 of the women's basketball standings as well. So like you said, trying to create a better seed for Kansas City, that's absolutely in play down the stretch. And like we said, Utah at home, a team that ASU beat back in December in a really close game at Salt Lake City, and then at Arizona, of course, in a rivalry matchup. That'll be on Saturday afternoon.
And I think it's worth adding, we talked about Kenzie and what a modern student athlete goes against. Coach Miller is no different. And she was also with us at the putting challenge at the Open. And, when she got announced, the roar and the ovation for Coach Miller here in the Valley, not just with ASU fans, but just with Valley sports fans, was pretty cool. And then, she's the master of managing her schedule and compartmentalizing her energy. Thursday night, she's going to be hosting a really important event over at Desert Financial Arena. I think it's called Court to Culture, and really letting local business and community leaders interact with our basketball student athletes and build a relationship, build some connections. That could lead to NIL deals, that could lead to job interviews, that could lead to any number of outcomes. And the fact that you've got a coach that sees the importance of bringing the community together to connect with her team, that's a really important moment for today's student athletes to be a part of. Coaches that see the value in it and want to facilitate those. And then going down to Tucson this weekend, we've got a bus full of Sun Devil fans making the trek together. We've got some programmed activities Friday night down in Tucson, knowing that there's a lot of ASU fans there in southern Arizona. And so I think Molly continues to be one of our best coaches of kind of understanding the environment that ASU presents and ASU creates for our coaches to plug into, and then utilizing that every step of the way.
Yeah, there's not a wasted minute in her itinerary on a weekly basis. It's wild. She's everywhere all at once.
Next time you see her, you'll have to ask her about, hey, when we were driving up to the Phoenix Open that day, how did she use her time riding passenger in the vehicle up there?
I will ask
the
that.
Ultimate multitasking.
Unbelievable.
We'll see if she shares.
Okay. I'll get back to you. Maybe off segment. I'll ask her that. A couple more quick notes to get you on before we move on to our interviews today. Sun Devil hockey. They'll be back in action this weekend at number 4 Western Michigan. It was a tough home weekend against St. Cloud State, but Greg Powers said it best leading into this weekend. It is now nothing to lose, essentially, going up against Western Michigan. There have been some growing pains. This roster's dealt with injuries, but still an opportunity in this conference, week in and week out. You get to play the best.
Well, I give our fans a lot of credit. Certainly not the season that we set out for. We had very high expectations for what this team would do, and we're still hopeful that down the stretch run that we can catch lightning in a bottle. But the fans continue to show up, and that atmosphere in Mullet Arena over the weekend was tremendous. Really appreciate the crowds consistently all year round. The student section was unbelievable. I had some friends visiting from out of town and got a chance to bring them out to the game, and they were just blown away with the scene at Mullet and everything that Sun Devil hockey means for ASU. And I think this season's one that you look back on, and I think there's been 11 games decided by one goal effectively in the third period there, and some empty net scores that may be misleading. But I do believe, and the guy said this on the radio after the game Saturday night, that for a freshman goaltender to make maybe a mental mistake late in the game by vacating the net, letting the opponent go in and score with, I think, 90 seconds left to try to get to overtime, that's a moment that benefits the program somewhere down the line. And who knows when it presents itself, but he's not going to make that same mistake twice. And there's a number of those examples, not to single him out, but there's moments that happen with a young team where they've got to learn how the game is played at this level. And sometimes it takes those experiences where you learn how not to handle a situation. You're better for that experience moving forward. Hey, that could present itself on the road at Western Michigan. That could present itself in the NCHC conference tournament coming up. That one day could present itself in the NCAA tournament when this team's competing. And so there's silver linings, and that's the beauty of this environment where our coaches are able to reflect. They're very self-aware. We do debrief with the department and the coaches debrief with their team, and all these moments serve to further the goals of a program. And so, again, maybe not the win-loss expectation that we had going into the year with such an exciting roster, but there are positive moments that you take away from a season, and I agree with Coach. You got nothing to lose. So let's empty the tank, see what they can do over the next 2 or 3 weeks, and really set the program up for long-term value, sustained growth, and success along the way.
Friday at 5 p.m., Saturday at 4:30. Those games will be available, of course, on the Sun Devil Radio Network. We're going to step aside, take a break, and when we come back, Willie Bloomquist, head coach of Sun Devil Baseball, will be here previewing his new squad as the season gets going. Back here on Sun Devil Extra here at Phoenix Municipal Stadium, and we told you at the end of the last segment we've got some special guests today. First one being a man entering his 5th year at the helm of Arizona State baseball, Willie Bloomquist, joining us ahead of the season opener this weekend here at the ballpark. Good to be back here, Coach, and how are we feeling heading into year number 5?
Excited. I think we're all getting tired of playing against each other here in inter squads, and it's time to kind of have the curtain raised up on the season and get us going, and we're excited. I think top to bottom our players are ready, coaching staff is ready, a lot of things to be excited about, and a lot of things that we're anxious to see once the lights come on and see how these guys perform when it actually matters. So but I love this team's makeup. I love the depth that we have, and just excited to kind of get it going and again see how these guys respond.
You just mentioned it, when the lights come on, things can be different, right? You can watch all the inter squads you want, you can go through drills, through BP, all those things, but when there are fans in the stands and there's a team wearing a different uniform across from you, things change. So for you as a coach, last couple of days before you get going, what are some of those things that, I don't want to say keep you up at night, but that you're really thinking a lot about before Friday?
I mean, I think you coach against ghosts, things that aren't ever going to really happen out there. And wondering if you're prepared on all these things. Did I remind this kid of that? And, a lot of times you remind them, they forget anyway. So, but bottom line, if they go out and execute and play fundamental baseball and do what they're supposed to do and represent the program by playing hard and doing what they do, I'll take our chances. And that's what the expectations are for our guys. That's what we have as coaches for them is we don't ask them to do anything they're not capable of doing. Make the routine play, turn to double play, throw strikes, work ahead, limit the free passes for the pitchers. Outfielders keep the double plays in order, make the routine plays there. Catchers not give up free bases with blockable balls. So just those type of things, if they do the fundamental things the way they're capable of doing it, like I said, I'll deal with the outcome after that. But I like the makeup, like the direction that we're headed.
You know, you were talking yesterday to the media as a whole, and you were mentioning the standard, and there was a lot of talk, obviously, about making the postseason last year, making it to the UCLA Regional. But I think as a former player here, and obviously now as the head coach, you know this program is capable of a lot. So in terms of the standard of this group, and with so many new faces, how do you kind of establish what that's going to be for a new group?
Well, I mean, I think if you look at the guys that came here, they're older guys. And when we were recruiting them, and from the transfer portal or whatnot, it's why do you want to come here? I want to be a part of a winning program. Okay, so just so we're clear, what winning means, you understand what winning means here, right? And when you recruit, hopefully the right type of kids, they're in it for the right reasons. They're in it for the program, to be a part of something special. And I think as a general whole, we did that with the kids we brought in. So getting them to buy into that standard on what's expected here, what's expected of our staff, ultimately our administration, our alumni, our fans, they want to see a winner, right? And that's, quite frankly, that's why I came back here, because I want to win too. And so we have to make sure that when I'm yelling at them or when I'm reminding them of doing certain things, it's for the right reasons. It's because these are the things that win baseball games, that we have to make sure we pay attention to the details and set our standards high. So that's where we're at. Again, I think they understand what the expectations are. But my second part of that is the expectations are you go out and represent and you play hard, and we'll deal with the results at the end of things, right? You can't go out and just snap your fingers and win a baseball game. You have to go out and perform and execute and play extremely hard. And some days it's just not going to work out, even though you do all the things right, and you run up against a team that has it going that day and you don't come out on top. It's okay. As long as you go out and represent the best you possibly can, we'll deal with the results at the end of the day.
And I think that's something that fans are looking forward to seeing, hopefully a group that is really together. And that was something that I've heard a lot of players talk about already with the new faces out of the portal, with the freshman class coming in as well. There's a lot of unfamiliarity, at least on paper. But it seems like this group has come together nicely, I would say, throughout the offseason. Would you kind of agree with those statements in terms of what you've noticed from your perch as the head coach?
Yeah, I think so. Again, it kind of goes back to the recruiting process that we like to think we're recruiting the right type of kids, both on and off the field, right? And sometimes, you can get good players, and they might be struggling in the classroom and not doing what they're supposed to do off the field, and that can be a problem, right? So, it goes back to the type of kids we're targeting, kids that can play, kids that want to get better, that want to be pushed, that handle their business, they're respectful off the field. Those type of kids have a tendency to get along well, right? And not that there's never conflict. There certainly is in our clubhouse from time to time, which is actually encouraged, at times, as long as we're holding each other accountable for the right reasons. That's encouraged, at least from the coaching staff standpoint. But it's no surprise these guys have gotten along well together and are off to a good start, and hopefully they stay tight-knit throughout the season.
Willie, I heard you say this phrase yesterday in terms of renting a position. You do not own it, and that was referring to the position players, but I want to talk pitching. Your opening weekend staff of Cole Carlone, Colin Lindler, and Easton Barrett. Obviously, things can change throughout a baseball season, whether it be injury, guys stepping into a role that maybe you didn't expect. We see it every year with every single team. But in terms of those three guys that'll head up the weekend rotation to start the year, what stood out to you about those three in terms of what they did over the offseason to earn them those nods?
Well, I think the same goes for the pitching staff, and they know that those starting jobs aren't etched in stone, and those are rented as well, right? And how we have it strategically set up, at least this opening weekend, is we have essentially 7, potentially 8 guys that are stretched out to be starters right now. Opening weekend is always tricky because you want to kind of limit pitch counts and ease your guys into getting up to that 100 pitch mark, probably around week 3 or 4, depending on how strong they are. But, we've designed this to where, it's Carlone and Overbay on Friday. Both of those guys are capable of starting. Same on Saturday with Linder and I'm not going to mention everybody because I don't want our opponents to strategically know what we're thinking. But, we've done this where we've stacked starters on top of each other for a reason. One is that hopefully gets us close to the finish line of that game. But for two, it's, we're going to keep guys stretched out in the event that somebody stumbles or stubs their toe, and we have to make adjustments on that. So we're not having to re-ramp a guy up and stretch him out. He's already there. And we understand throughout a year there's going to be changes and, most likely changes in a rotation or role or that matter. So right now we've already announced Cole Klecker's going on Tuesday. Cole's thrown the ball as well as anybody this spring. Can very easily be a quote-unquote weekend starter. Bottom line, our schedule is set up that after week 3 we don't have a midweek game. So there's a reason why I put Cole on Tuesday from a standpoint of, hey, let's be greedy. Let's try to win every one of these games and not save bullets in the holster when we can go out and try to set up a starter for every game, at least up until week 3, and try to win all of them, right? And put our best chance to win every single game. And then if we have to reevaluate after we're back from Globe Life and shuffle the deck a little bit, then we can do that at that point.
You just mentioned Cole Klecker. I actually wanted to ask about him. For fans that don't know, coming over from TCU, he started games in the College World Series, had a phenomenal freshman year, and then struggled a little bit with injuries, with command, things of that nature. I understand when he came in, fall ball, there was a tough outing at Cal Baptist in a game that didn't go well for this squad, but he was talking about this openly, how it was really what he noticed. It was mental challenges more so than even physical. How have you noticed his response? Because you said it, he's been throwing the ball really well leading into spring. What have you noticed from him maybe in terms of his changes in that department?
Well, I think, when you're coming into a new environment, right, and you have all the factors that he's dealing with, right? He's a local kid, left, now he's coming back, is expected to be that guy, right? And you come in with those expectations. Sometimes you just forget to compete. And you're worried about maybe learning a new pitch, or why haven't I been as effective the last year or two as I was as a freshman, trying to learn some new stuff, from a new pitching coach and, fitting in and trying to take on a leadership role. There's a lot of mental factors that go into that maybe take you away from just the good old-fashioned compete when you're on the bump. And, he'd given it up a couple other times just in inter squads, and then we put him on the hill going to Cal Baptist, and it was rough, and it was a great wake-up call, I think, for all of us, right? Not only just him, but us as a staff, that we have to get better. And what is it with these guys? It's not physical; it's more mental with a handful of them. And so I sat Cole down, and we just talked about forgetting about the results, pitching with conviction and competing again. Right now you're so worried about what if this pitch gets hit, or, usually in baseball when you don't want something to happen, that's when it happens. And, Cole, I think, was kind of falling into that rut, and I just said, dude, I don't care about any results from here on out. I want you to compete every pitch and throw it with conviction and get back to the bulldog competitor kid that you are. Whether or not that's the credit for what he's doing, I don't know. I give all the credit to him. He's the one out there competing and doing it, but the look in his eyes is certainly different. He's throwing the ball with a lot more confidence, and the results are taking care of themselves, surprisingly.
This reminds me of talking about another starter you had last year in Ben Jacobs, and maybe different, but we had a similar conversation about how you just had to sit Ben down last year, talk to him about the mental side of the game, and obviously ended up being your Friday night guy for the majority of the year. Outside of pitching, it's the depth offensively in this lineup, and obviously position player-wise on defense. 2-3 guys deep at almost every single position. That's something you guys, frankly, have not had through the first 4 years of your tenure here. How does that change your job in terms of making a lineup day in and day out throughout the course of a 56-game regular season?
Well, it's twofold. One side of the coin is that have a lot of depth, a lot of experience, a lot of guys that are capable. That's something we haven't necessarily had. We've had to build this thing for a few years to try to get to that point, to where if we have an injury, it's not season detriment, seasons in jeopardy of going south because we just lost this guy. We have several guys to fill in, which that's the positive, and it's good problems to have. The challenging part is going to be that, hey, there's going to be 4, 5, 6 guys on a daily basis that are pissed off at me, right? Because their name's not in the lineup that day and they're not used to ever watching a game from the sidelines, and that's just how it's going to be. And they understand that we have to check our egos at the door. We have to be willing to say, okay, I got a breather today. It doesn't mean Bloomy's forgot about me or whatever. It's like, no, we have to mix guys in and keep these guys sharp and hopefully fresh going into the latter part of the season, where, you know, historically we've had a little letdown late in the year because we've kind of run out of gas. So all this is strategic, and to the point of, I want to have depth at multiple positions, guys that can move around, and I want good players to where if we do have an injury or two, we can withstand that, and guys are going to hopefully stay fresh and mix in and out of the lineup as we get going to keep them healthy, you know, for the stretch run late in the season.
No such thing as a bad thing when you're talking about depth. And certainly this team has that. One more for you, Coach, before we let you go. Something new, a new wrinkle, I guess, to this year's roster, having a couple of team captains. Sean Fitzpatrick, the lefty out of the bullpen, and Nu'u Contrades will be joining us in the next segment. Obviously, that was voted upon by their peers, and so that's an honor to them. But what kind of went into the thought process of adopting that? That's not something we've seen in years past.
Well, I just think there needs to be kind of a go-between. As much as I have an open door policy in my office where, hey, you got something on your mind, come in my office anytime, anywhere. That's something I want my players feeling comfortable to do it. But I also want to give, you know, our veteran leaders down in that clubhouse some ownership on, hey, put out the small fires. You know, it shouldn't always have to come from the staff, and I think that creates a little more ownership in the clubhouse for those guys to be able to, you know, hey man, I've deemed you guys team captains. You guys can I don't want to say throw your weight around, but you guys can control things a little bit more down there. So you guys hear more than I do. You're down there with your teammates 24/7. You know, I work with you a handful of hours a day. You guys hear things and see things that sometimes I don't. I'm giving you the responsibility of being able to handle stuff, right? And if anyone's got a problem with that, then you can come to me and I'll handle it. But giving that empowerment to some of those guys to handle things, and I think ultimately that's going to bring a team closer in the long run.
Well, the journey starts this weekend, 56 games in the regular season, and hopefully a season that takes us well into May and even June as well. Coach, good luck this year. I know fans are excited to pack out Phoenix Muni again this year. There were great attendance numbers last year as well, and we'll hopefully talk to you a whole lot during the season as well.
Well, that's the plan, and our focus is Friday night. You know, let's beat Omaha on Friday night and get the season started off right. But to your point, set a fan attendance record last year. Let's do it again this year, right? Come out to Muni, bring people with you. It's a fun environment, great place to watch baseball, and our guys are going to play hard, that I guarantee you.
I'll say this, you can't help but smile walking into this ballpark, so come on out this weekend and all year long to pack the stands. One of those team captains we just talked about, Nu'u Contrades, he'll join us on the show when we come back. Back here on Sun Devil Extra, and it is baseball season, as we said in the first segment. We're excited about that, and we're also excited about our guest here on the program today, Nu'u Contrades, a fourth-year Sun Devil, third baseman in years past, second baseman this year for ASU baseball. Nu'u, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. Just happy to be out here. Excited for the season to get going.
Yeah, it is finally here. I know you guys worked so long through the fall, through the early winter months, spring, pretty much weather here in Arizona. And one constant so far, talking to different members of the team, you guys are excited to see someone else. We can see another uniform. How much does that say just about the overall competition you guys bring day in and day out?
I mean, like you said, we're chomping at the bit to face someone else in a different uniform. And, you know, we've been competing this whole fall, been grinding, so it's going to be fun to finally, you know, play someone else.
We said it in the open, a fourth-year member of this program now, which is becoming more and more rare around college athletics, regardless of sport. When you look back at freshman year Nu'u, who had a great year, but you look at yourself now compared to Nu'u then, what are some of the biggest differences in terms of mentality or overall just play?
I think the biggest difference is mentality. You know, freshman, I was still kind of young. I think I matured a lot over the last 3 years. You know, growing with Coach Bloomquist has been awesome. We kind of got to grow together. He came in a year before I did, but, you know, like you said, 4 years at one school is pretty rare. So, yeah, I'm just looking forward to the season. Going to have a blast.
You're also a leader now. You're a team captain, as voted for by your teammates unanimously, as I understand. You and Sean Fitzpatrick, a couple of captains, which is a new wrinkle to this program we haven't seen in years past, at least in terms of recent memory. How was that honor to be bestowed upon you? Because that's clearly showing a lot of respect from your peers.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great honor. Just to know that, my teammates and coaches think of me that way, it's just awesome. And it's awesome to kind of try and hold myself to a higher standard because, they show that they look up to me. So just knowing that I need to hold myself to a higher standard is pretty cool. And, just excited to lead this crew.
Your career so far, there's been awesome performance when you've been out there. Unfortunately, there have been some injuries. Sophomore year, the injury that kept you out the majority of the year, and then last year, you had to watch the postseason from the dugout with that hand injury. How much did that fuel you? Watching that regional at UCLA, that first postseason appearance you guys have made since you've been here, how much did that fuel you getting ready now and back and healthy for this year? Yeah, I mean, it fuels me a lot. Obviously, this program has been to the highest pinnacle of college baseball many times, but it's been a while ago. So I'm just looking forward to trying to bring regional, super regional, and obviously Omaha back to Tempe, Arizona. So I'm just looking forward to that. And obviously regionals are good, but we're looking to move past that this year. Yeah, and Coach Bloomquist talked about that, the standard, right? Mm-hmm. And it was good to get back to the postseason. Now it's raising that up. Yeah. I'm curious about the overall construction of this roster. So many new faces in terms of position players. Only you and Brody Briggs are really the main returners, Beckett Zavorik as well. But in terms of this roster and a lineup basis, it seems like it's going to be very deep. Just looking at scouting reports, probably a lot of contact. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a fun group to watch. What can you say just about what fans should expect offensively from this group?
I mean, we're a really aggressive group. We're going to go out there and get our A-swings off, definitely. Like you said, we're 2-3 deep at each position. So it's going to be a lot of different, like, switching in and out, different players. Just to have that luxury is awesome. Bloomy's always talking about it. Like, we get to keep guys fresh this year, which is a really big plus that we're looking forward to.
I'm curious specifically about a change you made, and we mentioned it at the top, moving from third base to second base. ASU fans only might think, well, that's a tough change, but as we understand it before we were recording, you grew up a second baseman. You're obviously familiar with that position. So moving back to a position you know well, how has that transition been over the offseason, and how pumped are you to be back at second?
Yeah, I mean, it's been awesome. Coach Bloomy has been awesome in kind of helping me transition back and get the fundamentals back down. Obviously third base is the opposite. You're going to your left most of the time, and then at second you're going back to the right, turn double plays and stuff. But it's been awesome. Like you said, I played it my whole life, so it's going to be fun.
What are some of the biggest differences, besides what you just pointed out, and obviously the ball gets on you a little quicker right over at third base, but what are some of those other differences between playing third and second? I
feel like second base you're a lot more like into the game. You know what I mean? You always got to be thinking about the next play. You got to think about whether you're being covering or you got a relay, where you're going, where you're lining up to. Always communicating with your shortstop, with your first baseman, with the pitcher. So just that part of it is a real big difference that you don't really often have at third.
When I think about this lineup, and we talked about this, pressure seems to be a word I keep thinking of. You're going to put a lot of pressure on opposing pitching staffs just because of all the different things this lineup can do. In terms of in these inter-squad scrimmages and stuff like that, I heard the pitchers got the best of you guys maybe quite a bit of the time, but the offense also had their fair share of big days. What excites you the most, outside of the depth, which we covered, in terms of what this lineup can bring day in and day out?
I mean, I think you nailed it. I mean, the pressure that we're going to bring, we have no holes in our lineup, which is awesome. Like, we got guys that can come off the bench and, deliver a big hit if we need to. We got a lot of versatility. We got a lot of power. We got a lot of contact. We got some speed in there. So just kind of bringing all facets of the game into play.
A couple more for you, Nu'u, before we let you go. You mentioned off air the closeness of this team. And sometimes that can be cliche. Every group's going to say they're close. Okay. But it is pretty wild to hear that, and it seems like it's genuine with so many new faces. And in today's age of college athletics where guys come in and out of a program so many times, what is it about this group that really does feel different?
I mean, we just spend so much time together. Like, when we're not practicing or playing a game, we're in the clubhouse playing pool or playing cards, or we got some video games down there. So we're just always together, and even outside the field, we're always hanging out at someone's house or doing something. So I mean, team camaraderie is at an all-time high as of right now. Yeah.
You guys are just excited to go, I'm sure. Last one for you in terms of the schedule to start off. Obviously, a lot of home games always early on in the season, but you guys get the chance to take on a bunch of SEC teams as well, and I know that's been talked about a lot. You're going to face some really good competition early on, and then also early on in Big 12 play, you're facing some of the teams that the experts, quote-unquote, are expecting to be near the top of the conference along with yourself. How excited are you guys to kind of get out of the gates and immediately be playing tough teams?
I mean, we're pumped. We're pumped to kind of showcase what we got, you know what I mean? We're always hearing of what these SEC teams can do, but I believe that we're at that same level, and we can go out there and just compete, you know what I mean? Bloomy always harps on it, it's all about your mentality. So just knowing that you can go in there and compete with the best in the nation is really important, and the crew is really excited for that.
It's a new year. It is a new. I don't know. That might have been pressing a little bit. But Nu'u Contrades, captain of the Arizona State baseball team, and certainly we're excited to watch you in your 4th year here at ASU and hope for big things from the squad and all. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
We'll be back to wrap things up with Graham Rossini when we come back on Sun Devil Extra. Back here on Sun Devil Extra, again, a big thank you to Willie Bloomquist and Nu'u Contrades, team captain of Sun Devil Baseball. Pretty cool that that's back into the program as we welcome back in Graham Rossini, the AD of ASU. Obviously, this program near and dear to your heart, and for Nu'u and Sean Fitzpatrick to be team captains, that's pretty special.
It's pretty cool, and I don't know if Willie was actually officially named a captain, but he did it by design, was obviously a great leader in the program. I remember my freshman fall ball taking short hops off the shin from Willie. It's my fault. I wasn't good at picking it. Clearly, he was the better ball player. But, yeah, I'm excited for him. I'm really excited for his progression as a head coach. And, he looks the part now. And for a guy that just said, I want this opportunity, I'm going to figure it out. He's had a learning curve. He's committed to the craft. And now in year 5, he knows what it looks like. He's had the experience. He's built his team. It's his staff. It's his schedule. It's his roster. And for guys like Nu'u Contrades in his 4th year, which is amazing, because I remember Nu'u on his recruiting visit. We had a meal at the Westin when it had right opened. So we've known Nu'u for the better part of 5 years now. And for him to be a senior, for him to be a captain, it's well earned. And to even see a guy 4 years in the same program, you hate to say it's remarkable, but it is remarkable. And
absolutely.
Guys like Fitz, who came over from Arkansas, has been an immediate contributor to the program. He's the guy you want on the bump in pressure situations. Those 2 guys can lead by example in a lot of the ways that the great Sun Devil teams before have had that veteran presence. Selfless guys that really are just proud to represent the program. They've been through their ups and downs. They're going to set the tone for a very talented roster, and glad that they're getting a chance to speak their voice and how they represent the program.
Yeah, we said it earlier in the show, but even just talking to those guys, you can tell people are pumped up around this program to get it going this weekend. Now time for a Sun Devil scoreboard where we give you updates from all around the athletic department, and believe me, there are a lot of things going on right now around the athletic program, starting with men's tennis, who we had on the show a couple of weeks ago. They're now 9-1 on the year. They picked up another top 10 win against USD. They've now beaten them twice this year, a couple of weeks ago, and then they are at the ITA Indoor Championships, which you heard on the program 2 weeks ago how important that is. They take on Stanford, number 4 team in the country, on Friday. Over to women's tennis now. They're 4-2. They're at Pepperdine this weekend, so good luck to both tennis programs this weekend. Awesome starts, like you said, Graham, for both teams. Wrestling, they'll be at home. They are coming off a ranked win against Oregon State over the weekend, which was really big for the momentum after a tough start to the year.
Sure.
They take on Cal Baptist on Friday at DFA, so that will be a good setting for the wrestling program as well. And then we got to talk swimming. And I know you wanted to talk about this. It was a dominating win over Arizona, the number 5 team in the country on the men's side for swim and dive. Next up, the Big 12 Championships in a couple of weeks. And they are in contention to do something special again in the postseason.
Well, it's fun when you recap all the sports underway. I think right now we've got 9 or 10 teams in the top 25, 4 in the top 10, including a couple that wrapped up in the fall, and a number of others on the way. Softball, getting going, baseball, beach volleyball, lacrosse, all with a chance to become ranked at some point. Wrestling with that ranked win against Oregon State is significant. That's a team that's built for the NCAA tournament format. There's hopefully 5 or 6 guys that get into the tournament. Gymnastics will be competing for a tournament spot as well. We're hosting a regional, so it'd be nice to be able to keep them home. And we're at that time of the year where you look up and we're going to be into conference tournaments here at the end of February with swim and dive. And I just can't say enough about Herbie Bame and what he's done in his second year. Men in a really strong position, number 2 nationally. The women are top 20, both in a really good position to defend their Big 12 titles. And then you look up and Texas is number 1. We got some unfinished business with Texas on the swim and dive. I don't mean to stir the pot, but it's fun to see Texas and ASU 1 and 2 for a lot of different reasons. And I mean, what a remarkable job he's done as one of the brightest up-and-coming coaches in the sport, and now really a leader in his second year as a head coach. A really exciting roster. You know, we're in the Winter Olympics right now, but there's some Summer Olympians in the pool here at Mona Plummer right now. We know that. And so can't wait for them to get to Greensboro here at the end of the month and really defend those Big 12 titles with a great opportunity, and then quickly jump back into the national tournament in Atlanta and see what they do. So a lot of momentum in the pool, certainly throughout all the sports, as you mentioned, and just all ticketing, ops, communications, marketing, just the whole team that's piecing this together. February and March are easily our busiest month with so many sports underway, and some of the sports like water polo, top 10, crushing it out the gate. Producing all these events, we want to do all of them at a high level, and so lucky to have a great team behind the scenes that's really executing at a very high level.
Finishing the note on swimming, I think it's safe to say the Sun Devils are targeting Texas in the swimming. You see what I did there?
Wow.
I'm sorry.
I mean, there's some easy segues in the Sun Devil for Life, if that's where we're going next.
Well, I had 2 more sports. We'll quickly shout out, and then we've got Sun Devil for Life.
Okay.
Gymnastics, you said it. They're at West Virginia on Saturday. And then lacrosse, they have their home opener. So I want to shout out the lacrosse program. They'll be at home Sunday.
Another really veteran roster.
Yes, a noon start against Denver.
Yep.
So that'll be fun. Busy weekend.
Lacrosse was in the Big 12 title game last year.
They were.
Right, and so they've got some unsettled business that they're chasing as well. Very veteran roster. Really excited for lacrosse to be underway.
Florida and San Diego State are in Big 12 lacrosse, by the way. If you did not know that, that is now an excellent trivia question answer.
It's a national conference.
It is coast to coast, no doubt about it.
Yep.
Now we'll get to Sun Devil for Life of the Week in our favorite segment of the show. We have been gone for a week, so I know there's a lot of opportunities for one. Who you got this week, Graham?
Well, we'll go back to, we didn't have a show last week, so we had the celebrity softball game here at Phoenix Community. Cam Scattaboo representing the Big 12 champs, CFP Sun Devils. Heartbreaking loss to Texas. That one still stings. Cam remembers a different play. Obviously, the targeting was a controversial call. There were 1 or 2 others that Cam reminded us of while I was here. That same weekend, you had Jordan Tyson, you had James Harden, you had, you look on the diamond, Spencer Torkelson, you had, just on and on. Jeff Larish was here.
Kyle Dodd.
Kyle Dodd was here. Mickey Mitchell starting to get the bat together in softball action. So, Sun Devils everywhere, but it was fun. I got to leave the softball game and go to Los Angeles for an event, and Nick Baker, football letter winner, was there. I got to see Nick at an event and is doing big things in LA in the sports space and the entertainment space, and is somebody that said, hey, I see what's going on. I want to help my alma mater. I want to get back involved. Played here in the mid-2000s and is now crushing it with AEG over in LA. And so, it's always nice to see alums competing athletically, but really it's always fun to see alums that are using this moment to catapult themselves into the business community and really plug in. Another one in that example, Brandon McGee. We were on a phone call with Brandon a few weeks ago. Football, baseball letter winner that's doing work in Hollywood, documentaries and production. And so that's the coolest part of my job is I get to come in contact with these letter winners in all walks of life, and they're now reaching out at a very high clip in terms of how do I plug in, how do I help, how do I really help my alma mater. I've got unique access, I've got unique connections. I want to plug that effort back into the momentum that's happening here with the Sun Devils, and it means the world to us.
I've got someone that I wanted to shout out as well. You turn around, you look at this field, it's gorgeous, as always. You watched the Super Bowl last weekend. It's a beautiful field. Brian Johnson.
Yeah, Brian Johnson.
He has been involved in the Super Bowl field nearly every year since 1996. He was involved again this year as well. Of course, major friend of the Sun Devils, longtime groundskeeper.
We had Sun Devils all over the Super Bowl. Randy Polakar was there. Pete Wozniak was there. Josh Lenz may have been there. If not, he should be there. He's really talented, learning from Brian. You got John Larson, like major league groundskeeper at Phoenix Muni. Was with the Colorado Rockies for a long time. Unbelievable what he does here at Phoenix Muni. James Voice is here, a long time with the Oakland A's. We're lucky. We've got some really good operational experts behind the scenes that make this whole thing go. So, yeah, Brian's the GOAT. His tree of groundskeeping royalty is pretty profound. And they were all at the Super Bowl, and now we got the Super Bowl of ASU ready to go. Spring sports.
He's like the Nick Saban of groundskeepers. His coaching tree, if you will, is illustrious.
His sneaker game is impressive. Like Like his Adidas,
It's a rainbow.
It's a rainbow assortment of Adidas sneakers that came in one color. Then field painting can do what it does, and I don't know the adjective I'm thinking of right now, but a cornucopia of colors. Bad one.
No,
That's a bad one.
I thought it was good.
I could be better.
No,
Sorry.
I like that. How about the field, though, and how about this place to be? As we said, it gets going this weekend. Baseball Friday through Sunday, lacrosse at home, softball at home. There's women's basketball at home, of course, as we're recording this tonight, so I guess that wasn't too topical to bring up. But there's a lot going on is what we're saying, and it'll be a very fun weekend of Sun Devil athletics. And big thank you again to Willie Bloomquist and Nu'u Contrades for joining us on the show. We'll talk to you next week. The background won't be as pretty, unfortunately. We'll probably be back inside of Carson Student Athlete Center, which we love. But this one
Let's
is
find
fun
a new
today.
backdrop.
Yeah.
Hey, we're
It
road
is.
showing. It's the springtime.
We love a road show, even the noises of surrounding workers as well. It's
Hey,
part
we
of
got
it.
some cool things happening in the Carson Center. Maybe we'll use the show to debut some branding updates. We have I'll tease it because I like teasing things on the show.
Sure.
A 6th floor tribute that I think will be universally loved by Sun Devil Nation.
That's all I needed to hear. Now you'll watch next week.
We should do a show from up there.
Let's do it.
2 or 3 weeks from now. Stay tuned.
I think I know a guy that can make it happen.
Perfect.
This guy right here.
We're in.
Sun Devil Extra. A lot of fun today. We'll talk to you next week.